6 months after the failed invasion of Earth, Dr. Park Sora stood before the largest gathering of species in galactic history. Representatives from over 300 civilizations had come to the New Geneva Conference. Not just council members, but species that had been ignored or oppressed for millennia. The conference hall was built on a new space station orbiting Earth. Unlike the hierarchical design of Harmony Prime, the station was built as a circle. Every delegation had an equal place at the table. "Friends," Sora began using the universal translator, "we gather today not as masters and servants, but as equals. Humanity could have chosen to rule the galaxy through force. Instead, we choose partnership." In the audience, she could see species that most council members had never heard of. The insect-like Chitauri, who had been dismissed as pest creatures but possessed incredible biological engineering skills. The energy-based Luminari, ignored because they didn't have physical bodies. The mechanical forgelings, who built themselves and were considered not truly alive. These species had become humanity's first allies after the Exodus. While the Council had focused on ancient, established civilizations, humans had reached out to the overlooked and undervalued. They had found incredible diversity and untapped potential. Ambassador Choi Mi-young, now Earth's Minister of Galactic Relations, watched the proceedings with satisfaction. The old council leadership was present, but they sat in the same chairs as everyone else. Hegemon Zask looked smaller somehow, his crystal body dim and cracked from months of poor nutrition. "The old system failed," Choi announced, "because it was built on the belief that age equals wisdom, that established power should never be questioned. We propose something different, a voluntary federation based on mutual respect and shared benefit." The Kyraxian delegate, General Kasara, raised her hand. She had replaced the disgraced General Vorthak after the failed invasion. "What guarantee do we have that humans won't simply become the new oppressors?" It was Commander Lee Dongwu who answered. He had returned from exploring the galaxy's edge with incredible discoveries. "Because we've seen what happens when any species tries to dominate the others. The galaxy stagnates. The ancient station we found contained records of our ancestors' civilization. They made the same mistake the Council made. They believed their success made them superior to everyone else." Lee activated a holographic display showing the ruins of massive cities on dead worlds. "This is what happened to the first human galactic empire. They became arrogant, stopped listening to other species, and eventually faced a rebellion that destroyed everything. We won't repeat that mistake." Dr. Sora took over the presentation. "The genetic research we've conducted shows something fascinating. Every species in this galaxy has unique advantages. The Chitauri can engineer biological solutions we've never imagined. The Vorthak can store information in crystal matrices that last for millions of years. The Nalari can process atmospheric data in ways that surpass our best computers." She gestured around the room. "Human success came not from being superior, but from learning from others. We adapted Vorthak crystal technology to build better computers. We used Nalari atmospheric knowledge to improve our terraforming. We incorporated Chitauri biological engineering into our medical systems. But you hid your true capabilities," accused the Nalari delegate. "You pretended to be primitive while secretly developing advanced weapons." Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood to respond. "We defended ourselves. For 2 centuries, we shared our real technology with the Council, our best computers, our most advanced medical equipment, our most efficient engines. And what happened? You took credit for our innovations and called us primitive." Kim's voice was calm but firm. "We learned to hold back our newest developments because the Council would steal them, and then deny we created them. The advanced technology in Council space, 80% of it was designed by humans." The admission caused a stir in the audience. Many species had suspected this, but hearing it confirmed was still shocking. "So, what do you propose?" asked President Nixara of the Elkari Federation. "A new model," Choi explained. "The Federation of Free Worlds. No single species in charge, no hierarchy based on age or size. Every member contributes what they can and receives what they need." "How would decisions be made?" asked a small furry delegate from the Brintok Consortium. "By consensus when possible, by majority vote when necessary," Sora replied. "But with protections for minority opinions. And most importantly, any member can leave at any time. This is voluntary association, not forced membership." The Chitauri delegate buzzed excitedly. "What about species the old council called primitive? We were never allowed to join." "You're here now," Lee said with a smile. In fact, we hope the smaller and newer species will help us avoid the mistakes that led to stagnation. Fresh perspectives and new ideas are exactly what the galaxy needs. Over the following days, the conference worked out the details of the new system. The Federation would have no central capital. Leadership would rotate between member worlds. There would be no forced taxation. Members would contribute resources voluntarily based on their ability and needs. Most importantly, there would be no restrictions on technological development or sharing. The old council had limited certain technologies to prevent dangerous species from becoming too advanced. The Federation would encourage innovation and freely share new discoveries. The vote was held on the final day. Species after species chose to join the Federation. Even many former council members, tired of the old system's failures, voted to participate. The final tally was overwhelming. 287 species voted to join, only 31 chose to remain independent. Hegemon Zask was among those who voted to join. His proud Vorthak hegemony was collapsing without human technology and trade. He had little choice but to accept the new reality. "We welcome all who wish to build a better galaxy," Sora said as the conference concluded. "But we understand that change is difficult. The Federation will help even non-members with humanitarian crises and natural disasters. We believe in leading by example, not by force." As the delegates departed, many were already making plans for cooperation that would have been impossible under the old system. The Luminari offered to share their energy manipulation techniques with any species interested in clean power. The Forgelings proposed joint research projects on self-repairing materials. The Chithari wanted to establish biological research stations on every member world. 3 years later, Commander Li Dongwu patrolled the trade routes that now crisscrossed the galaxy, in patterns the old council had never imagined. Commerce flowed freely between species that had barely known each other existed. Technology spread rapidly as species competed to contribute innovations rather than hoarding secrets. His ship passed a joint research station where Vorthak scientists worked alongside human engineers and Chithari biologists. They were developing new terraforming techniques that combined crystal matrices, biological adaptation, and human engineering. The project would create habitable worlds in half the time the old methods required. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving a distress call from the edge of known space." "What's the situation?" "Unknown species, sir. Their ship is damaged and they're requesting assistance." Lee smiled. "Set course to help them. And send a message to the Federation Council. We might have found our 288th member species." Dr. Park Sora was now the Federation's first elected Director General, serving a 3-year term before leadership rotated to another world. She spent her days coordinating relief efforts, mediating disputes, and facilitating scientific cooperation. It was challenging work, but deeply satisfying. Her latest project was establishing schools throughout Federation space where children of all species could learn together. The first graduating class would include young humans, Vorthak, Nilari, Chithari, and dozens of other species. They would grow up thinking of diversity as normal and cooperation as natural. In her office overlooking Earth's rebuilt cities, Sora often reflected on how much had changed. The galaxy that had once scorned humanity now looked to human leadership, but it was a different kind of leadership, one based on service rather than dominance. The old Galactic Council had tried to maintain order through rigid hierarchy and fear. The Federation maintained peace through mutual benefit and respect. It wasn't perfect. Disputes still arose and some species remained outside the system. But it was better. Much better. Ambassador Choi Mi-young, now in her 70s, served as Federation ambassador to the independent worlds. She worked with species that chose to remain outside the Federation, building relationships and offering assistance without demanding membership. Even the proud Kyraxian Empire had eventually joined, though it took them 5 years to swallow their pride. General Kassara now served as the Federation's defense coordinator, organizing mutual protection agreements between member worlds. The galaxy had not become a utopia. There were still conflicts, still problems to solve, still species that preferred isolation or aggression, but the trend was clear. Cooperation succeeded where domination had failed. Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood in Earth's command center and watched the Council fleet approach. 50,000 ships from 12 different species, led by the brutal Kyraxian war fleet. They had come to force humanity back into submission. Sir, his tactical officer reported, they're demanding our surrender. They want all humans to return to Council space and resume their previous duties. Kim almost laughed. Previous duties? You mean being their unpaid servants? The lead Caraxian ship opened a communication channel. General Vorthak appeared on screen, his reptilian face twisted with rage. Humans of Earth, you have disrupted galactic peace. Surrender now or face destruction. General, Kim replied calmly, you have entered the Sol system without permission. Leave now or face the consequences. Consequences? Vorthak hissed. You are primitives with stolen technology. We are the masters of war. This will be over in minutes. We'll see, Kim said, and cut the transmission. The Caraxian general had no idea what he was facing. For 200 years, humans had pretended to be weak. They had signed council treaties limiting their weapons. They had hidden their true capabilities. No longer. Activate the defense grid, Kim ordered. Around the Sol system, hidden platforms suddenly appeared. They had been cloaked, invisible to council sensors. Thousands of them, armed with weapons that no council species had ever seen. Commander Li Dongwu was returning from his exploration mission when the battle began. His ship, the Indomitable, was now equipped with technology from the ancient station. Human technology, but far beyond anything modern humans had built. Sir, his weapons officer called out, the Council fleet is attacking Earth. Then we help defend it, Li said. All ships attack formation. Li's exploration fleet consisted of only 12 ships, but they were no longer ordinary human vessels. The ancient technology had transformed them into something incredible. Each ship now had shields that could deflect entire fleets and weapons that could destroy planets. The first phase of the battle was a shock for the Council forces. The Caraxian ships fired their most powerful weapons at Earth's moon, expecting to crack it open as a demonstration of power. Instead, their energy beams were absorbed by hidden shield generators and redirected back at their own fleet. A dozen Caraxian ships exploded before General Vorthak understood what had happened. Impossible, he screamed. Humans don't have that technology. But they did. And they had much more. Dr. Park Sora watched the battle from her laboratory. Around her, teams of human scientists were working with equipment that seemed almost magical. The ancient station had contained not just technology, but knowledge. The genetic memory that humans had carried for millennia was finally awakening. The biological weapons are ready, her assistant reported. Targeted viruses that will only affect council species who show aggressive behavior. Sora nodded. It felt strange to be creating weapons instead of cures, but the council had forced this choice. They had come to Earth with war, and humanity would answer with superior science. The second phase of the battle began when Li's ships arrived. The Caraxian fleet outnumbered the human defenders by 1,000 to 1. But numbers meant nothing when your weapons couldn't penetrate enemy shields. Li's flagship fired a single beam at the largest Caraxian dreadnought. The massive ship, protected by the strongest armor in the galaxy, simply vanished. Not destroyed, completely erased from existence. What was that weapon? General Vorthak demanded of his science officer. Unknown, sir. Our sensors show it manipulated space-time itself. It made the target ship never exist. General Vorthak felt something he had never experienced. Fear. His species had conquered half the galaxy through superior firepower, but these humans had weapons that made his fleet look like toys. The Council fleet began to break apart. Ships from different species started blaming each other for the disaster. The Nilari gas ships turned to flee, but found their engines wouldn't work. Human technology was interfering with their power systems. The Vorthak crystal vessels tried to coordinate a final attack, but their communication systems were being jammed. Worse, their crew members were getting sick. The targeted viruses Dr. Sora had created were spreading through their ships, affecting only those who had shown hostility to humans. But the real shock came when Admiral Kim revealed humanity's greatest secret. Hidden in the asteroid belt were shipyards that had been building in secret for decades. Thousands of human warships suddenly appeared, each one equipped with the most advanced technology the galaxy had ever seen. This is Admiral Kim Taeho of Earth Defense Command, he broadcast to the Council fleet. You came here believing humans were weak. You were wrong. We have been holding back for 2 centuries, pretending to be less than we are. No more. On the view screen, General Vorthak could see the full extent of the human fleet, ships that looked like they were made of liquid metal. weapons that bent space and time, shields that could protect entire star systems. How? He whispered. How did primitives build this? Admiral Kim heard the question. Primitives? General, humans built your communication networks. We designed your medical systems. We created the technology that runs your civilization. And you thought we were primitives? Kim leaned forward. Here's the truth, General. Humanity isn't a young species that got lucky. We're an ancient species that was forced to start over. The ancestors of modern humans once ruled this galaxy. We're not becoming advanced. We're remembering what we used to be. The revelation hit the Council forces like a physical blow. For millions of years, they had believed they were the inheritors of the galaxy's first civilization. They had told themselves that newer species were naturally inferior. But if humans were actually the original galactic power... Impossible, General Vorthak said weakly. The evidence is in your own histories, Kim replied. Who do you think built the jump gates that connect your star systems? Who created the stellar maps you still use? Who designed the terraforming technology that made your worlds habitable? Kim smiled coldly. Your ancestors didn't build galactic civilization. They inherited it from ours. And when our people became too peaceful, too trusting, your ancestors betrayed us. You destroyed our worlds and scattered our survivors across the galaxy. You made us forget who we were. The truth was spreading through the Council fleet. Ship computers were accessing historical databases, finding the evidence that had always been there but ignored. The galaxy's foundational technology bore human design signatures. The oldest ruins on every world showed human architectural patterns. But we survived, Kim continued. We rebuilt from nothing. And while your species stagnated for millions of years, we evolved. We adapted. We became better than we ever were before. Dr. Park Sora's biological weapons were taking effect across the Council fleet. Soldiers who had come to conquer Earth were collapsing with fever. But the civilians and crew members who had opposed the invasion remained healthy. The viruses were smart enough to distinguish between aggressors and non-combatants. The final phase of the battle was barely a battle at all. The Council fleet surrendered ship by ship. Many vessels simply shut down their weapons and requested permission to return home. Others asked for medical assistance for their sick crew members. General Vorthak's flagship was the last to surrender. The proud Caraxian warrior faced the truth that his entire worldview was built on lies. Humans weren't inferior newcomers. They were the galaxy's rightful inheritors, and they had just reclaimed their throne. What happens now? Vorthak asked quietly. Now, Admiral Kim said, you go home and tell your people the truth. The galaxy has new leadership. Humanity is no longer asking for permission to exist. As the broken Council fleet limped away from Earth, humanity stood revealed for what they truly were. Not the junior partners in galactic civilization, but its original architects. The children had come home and they were no longer children. 3 weeks after the human exodus, the galaxy was falling apart. Ambassador Choi Mi-young, now Earth Secretary of Interstellar Affairs, read the reports with grim satisfaction. The Council that had dismissed humanity as primitive was begging for help. The Vorthak were starving. Their crystal farms produced only gray dust without human growth accelerators. Millions of Vorthak were beginning to weaken and crack. Some had already died, their bodies crumbling into powder. The Nalari expansion had completely failed. Their colony ships drifted helplessly around dead worlds, unable to process the atmospheres without human technology. Several ships had already turned back, their crews facing slow death from oxygen poisoning, but the worst was yet to come. Dr. Park Sora received an encrypted message at her new laboratory on Earth. It came from Dr. Thek, a Thalasan scientist she had worked with years ago. Dr. Park, the aquatic alien's voice was desperate. The war has started again. Without the Council peacekeepers, the Pyrians attacked our shipping routes. We need help. Sora remembered Dr. Thek. He was one of the few aliens who had treated her as an equal. But she also remembered how the Thalasan government had voted to take human colonies. I'm sorry, Dr. Thek. Earth is no longer involved in galactic politics. Please. My people are dying. The Pyrians are using chemical weapons. Our children are suffering. Sora felt the familiar twist of guilt. Then she hardened her heart. Where was this concern when Earth's children were being forced from their homes? The transmission ended. Sora knew she would have nightmares about it. But she also knew that helping would only enable the same broken system that had oppressed humanity for centuries. Across the galaxy, old conflicts were reigniting. The Caraxian Empire had declared war on the Zelkari Republic. Both sides had been held in check by Council peacekeeping forces led by human officers. Without those forces, border disputes became shooting wars. On the Elkari homeworld, President Nix Ara stared at the reports flooding her desk. 7 colony worlds had gone dark when their communication relays failed. 3 trade routes were blocked by pirates who used to fear Council enforcement. The economy was collapsing faster than anyone had predicted. How did this happen? She asked her chief advisor. The humans, Madam President. They built most of our critical infrastructure. Without them, everything is failing. But they were just laborers and technicians. Surely we can replace them. Her advisor looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, we've been studying the systems they left behind. Their technology is far more advanced than we realized. Some of it is beyond our understanding. That's impossible. They're a young species. Yes, ma'am. But they somehow developed quantum processing, bio-neural networks, and self-repairing materials while we were still using crystal computing and metal tools. President Nixara felt a chill run through her aquatic body. Are you saying the humans are more advanced than us? I'm saying they were holding back, ma'am. The technology they shared with us was apparently their basic-level equipment. Meanwhile, Commander Li Dongwu was leading Earth's first independent exploration mission. His ship, the Indomitable, had crossed beyond Council space into the unknown regions. What they found there amazed them. Sir, his science officer called out, you need to see this. Li looked at the view screen. Before them floated a massive structure, clearly artificial but ancient beyond measure. It was beautiful and terrible, covered in symbols that seemed familiar yet alien. What is it? Li asked. Some kind of space station, sir. But it's old. Millions of years old. And, sir, some of these symbols look like early human writing. Li frowned. That's impossible. Humans only developed writing a few thousand years ago. Yes, sir. But look at this. The science officer highlighted a section of the structure. The symbols clearly resembled ancient human pictographs. Take us closer. I want to know what this is. As they approached the structure, it began to respond to their presence. Lights came on along its hull. Ancient machinery hummed to life. Then, impossible as it seemed, a docking bay opened. It's welcoming us, Li whispered. But how does it know we're human? On Earth, Dr. Park Sora was making discoveries of her own. While examining the genetic samples they had taken from Council space, she found something disturbing. All the major Council species showed signs of genetic stagnation. Their DNA had barely changed in millions of years. Human DNA was different. It showed rapid recent evolution, but also something else. Markers that suggested their ancestors had once been far more advanced than modern humans. It's like we're remembering something, Sora told her team. Our rapid technological development isn't natural evolution. It's recovery. Her assistant looked confused. Recovery from what? I don't know yet, but I think humans used to be much more advanced. Something happened to make us primitive, and now we're becoming what we once were. Back in Council space, the situation was getting worse. The Caraxian-Zelkari War had spread to 6 star systems. Without human peacekeepers, both sides were using weapons that had been banned for centuries. Entire planets were being sterilized. The trade wars were even worse. The Brintok Consortium had seized control of 3 major shipping routes. The hegemony of Yorth was blockading systems that refused to pay tribute. Pirates operated freely in regions that human patrols had kept safe for decades. Hegemon Zask called an emergency council session. The few remaining members gathered on what was left of Harmony Prime. The station was barely functional. Half the systems were offline, and the other half worked only because alien technicians were frantically trying to copy human designs. We must take action, Zask announced to the depleted assembly. The humans have destabilized the entire galaxy. They must be forced to return. With what army? Asked the Nalari representative. Her gas suit was cracked, leaking atmosphere. Our fleets can't coordinate without human communication networks. Then we attack Earth directly, snarled the Caraxian delegate. Show them the price of defying the Council. Attack with what ships? Zask asked bitterly. Half our fleets are stranded without fuel. The other half can't navigate without human stellar cartography. The truth was becoming clear to all of them. The galaxy didn't just need human technology. It needed human knowledge, human coordination, human innovation. The ancient species had become dependent on the newcomers they had scorned. But admitting that would mean admitting they had been wrong for 200 years. It would mean acknowledging that a primitive species had quietly become the foundation that held galactic civilization together. Dr. Park. Sora finished reading another desperate message from a former colleague. This one was from a Vortex scientist begging for medical assistance. His people were dying from crystal rot, a disease that human medicine had easily cured. She deleted the message without responding. The time for charity was over. Humanity had tried kindness and received only contempt. Now the galaxy would learn to value what it had lost. Commander Lee Dongwu docked with the ancient station and made an incredible discovery. The technology inside was undeniably human in origin, but impossibly advanced. And according to the station's records, it had been waiting for humanity's return for over 1,000,000 years. The galaxy's collapse was accelerating, but humanity was just beginning to discover their true heritage and potential. Commander Lee Dongwu stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the biggest evacuation in history. Human ships filled the space around him like metal birds flying home. Cargo vessels, research ships, military cruisers, and colony transports all moved together toward Earth. "Status report," Lee called to his communications officer. 847 million humans evacuated so far, sir. "We're ahead of schedule," Lee nodded. The aliens thought humans were slow and disorganized. They were wrong. When humans worked together, they could move mountains, or in this case, move entire populations across the galaxy in 3 days. On the planet below, Dr. Park Sora supervised the shutdown of the Medical Research Center. Her team worked quickly to pack their equipment and data, but they left something behind. Small devices hidden in the walls began activating. "All medical systems will fail within a week," Sora told her assistant. "The life support systems in alien hospitals, the water purification plants, the food processors. All of it was built with human technology. Will people die?" her assistant asked. "The aliens never bothered to learn how their own medical systems work. They just used what we gave them and called us primitive." Sora felt a small twist of guilt. Then she remembered all the times alien doctors had dismissed her research. All the times they had taken credit for her discoveries. The guilt went away. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Human engineers removed the core processors from power plants. Without these small but crucial components, entire cities would go dark. Human programmers deleted the control codes for space traffic systems. Human technicians took the quantum communication relays that connected different star systems. The aliens did not notice at first. They were too busy celebrating the departure of the troublesome humans. But within hours, problems began. On the Vorthak homeworld, the crystal farm stopped growing. For 50 years, these farms had fed billions of Vorthak using human-designed growth accelerators. Without the accelerators, the crystals turned gray and brittle. Hegemon Zask stood in his dying crystal garden and touched one of the withered formations. It crumbled to dust in his hands. "Call the human technicians," he ordered his aide. "Sir, the humans are gone. All of them left yesterday." "Gone? Where did they go?" "Earth, sir. They abandoned all their posts and returned to their home system." Zask felt something he had never experienced before. Panic. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them to return immediately. Offer them double pay." But the message never reached Earth. The quantum communication network had shut down. The network that connected every world in the galaxy was built and maintained by humans. Without them, the galaxy had become very quiet. On the Nellery colony ship Mistral, Captain Velnor tried to contact the atmospheric processing station on planet Taurus 7. The station was supposed to make the planet's air breathable for Nellari colonists. But no one answered his calls. "Send a shuttle to the station," Velnor ordered. The shuttle returned with bad news. The processing station was empty. The humans who ran it had left, and they had taken the processing equipment with them. Worse, they had changed all the access codes. The station was locked down completely. "How long can we survive on the ship?" Velnor asked his engineer. 2 weeks, maybe 3. After that, we'll have to return to Nellari space." But returning to Nellari space would take 6 months, and their homeworlds were having problems too. The expansion that required removing humans from 3 worlds had become impossible. Without human atmospheric processors, the Nellari could not terraform new planets. Admiral Kim Taeho sat in his command center on Earth and watched reports come in from across the galaxy. Every human ship, every human citizen, every piece of human technology was coming home. Operation Exodus was working perfectly. Admiral, his aide said. Incoming transmission from the Galactic Council. Put it through. Hegemon Zask appeared on the screen. His crystal body looked dim and cracked. Admiral Kim, there has been a misunderstanding. The Council wishes to negotiate new terms with Earth. New terms? Kim smiled coldly. Yesterday you told us to be quiet and obey. Today you want to negotiate. What changed? The galaxy needs human expertise. We are prepared to offer Earth a better position in the Council. The galaxy? Kim laughed. The galaxy that called us primitive. The galaxy that stole our colonies. That galaxy needs us? Please be reasonable. Many species will suffer without human assistance. For 200 years, Earth was reasonable. We followed your rules, paid your taxes, and accepted your insults. We gave you our technology, our knowledge, and our loyalty. What did we get in return? Zask was quiet. We got the small chair at your table. We got talked down to like children. We got our hard work stolen and our achievements dismissed. Well, Hegemon, we're done being reasonable. Kim leaned forward. For 2 centuries, humanity sought partnership. We were met with condescension, exploitation, and disrespect. Today, Earth formally withdraws from the Galactic Council. We will no longer subsidize your stagnation. Humanity will forge its own path among the stars. The transmission ended. Kim turned to his communications officer. Send that message to every world in the galaxy. Make sure everyone hears it. Within days, the collapse accelerated. The Elkari Federation lost contact with half their colonies when the communication network failed. Trade routes shut down without human shipping coordination. The Pyrian mining operations stopped working when their human-built excavators broke down. On Harmony Prime Station, Ambassador Choi Mi-young packed the last of her belongings. The station was already having problems. The artificial gravity was flickering. The air recycling systems were making strange noises. Half the lights had gone out. Ambassador, a Caraxian official approached her. Please reconsider. The Council is prepared to make concessions. What kind of concessions? Choi asked. A larger chair at the Council table. Reduce taxes on 2 of your colonies, Choi stared at him. A larger chair? That's your offer? And reduce taxes, the official repeated. For 200 years, you treated us like servants. You stole our technology, dismissed our ideas, and insulted our people. And you think a larger chair will fix that? Choi picked up her bag and walked toward the docking bay. Good luck running the galaxy without us. You're going to need it. As her ship pulled away from Harmony Prime, Choi looked back at the station. The lights were going out section by section. The great symbol of Galactic Council power was dying in the dark. Behind her, the galaxy that had rejected humanity was learning a hard lesson. They had always believed that age meant wisdom, that newer species were inferior, but humans had something the ancient aliens had lost. The ability to adapt, to innovate, to work together for a common goal. Now the galaxy would discover what happened when you lost the people who kept everything running. The chaos was just beginning. Ambassador Choi Mi-young walked through the metal halls of Harmony Prime Station. Her shoes made soft clicking sounds on the floor. She carried a data pad with Earth's new proposal. Today would be different, she told herself. Today the Council would listen. The meeting room was huge. Alien delegates filled floating chairs around a circular table. The Vorthak looked like walking crystals. Their leader, Hegemon Zask, sparkled under the lights. The Nalari were clouds of gas in metal suits. Their voices sounded like wind through pipes. Choi took her seat. It was smaller than the others. The humans always got the small chair. After 200 years in the Council, Earth still sat at the children's table. The meeting begins, Hegemon Zask announced. His crystal body rang like a bell when he spoke. First item, new protection taxes for Outer Rim worlds. Choi looked at her data pad. Earth had colonies on 12 Outer Rim worlds. These taxes would cost them millions of credits. Credits they did not have. The tax rate will be 40% of all colonial income, Zask continued. This money will fund Council security forces. 40%? Choi stood up. That's impossible. Earth's colonies barely make enough to survive. This tax will destroy them. The other delegates turned to look at her. Some made sounds that might have been laughter. The Caraxian delegate hissed through his breathing mask. Young species worry too much, said the Nalari representative. Her gas swirled inside her suit. The Council knows what is best. You will adapt. We need to discuss this, Choi said firmly. Earth requests a delay until we can review the economic impact. Hegemon Zask's crystal face showed no expression. There is nothing to discuss. The vote has already happened. We decided before this meeting. Before the meeting? But we're supposed to have a voice in council decisions. Young species should listen more than they speak, Zask said. The other delegates made approving sounds. Earth joined the council only 2 centuries ago. We have existed for millions of years. Our wisdom guides the galaxy. Choi felt her face grow hot with anger. 200 years of this. 200 years of being treated like children. Earth had given so much to the council. Human engineers fixed their broken machines. Human doctors cured their diseases. Human traders kept their economy running. But humans never got respect. There is one more item, Zask announced. The Nalari need new agricultural worlds. 3 human colonies will be relocated. Relocated? Choi's voice was sharp. Those colonies have been there for 50 years. Millions of humans live there. You can't just move them. We can and we will, the Nalari delegate said. The Nalari expansion requires those worlds. Humans can find new places to live, where every good world in council space is already taken. You're asking us to move our people to dead rocks in space. That is not our concern, Zask said. The decision is final. Human colonies will evacuate within 6 months. Choi looked around the room. Every alien face stared back at her with cold indifference. These beings did not see humans as equals. They saw them as useful pets. Pets that could be moved around when convenient. This is wrong, she said quietly. Wrong? The Kyraxian delegate leaned forward. His reptilian eyes glowed red. What would a human know about right and wrong? Your species barely knows how to use fire. More laughter filled the room. Choi felt something break inside her chest. Not her heart? Her patience. Meeting dismissed, Zask announced. Human delegate will receive evacuation instructions tomorrow. The aliens began to leave. They floated, slithered, and walked past Choi without looking at her. She stood alone in the empty room, shaking with rage. Back in her quarters, Choi activated her secure communication device. The hologram of Admiral Kim Tae-ho appeared. His face was serious. How did it go? He asked. They're taking our colonies. 3 of them. And they want 40% taxes on all the others. Kim's jaw tightened. I see. Sir, we can't keep doing this. They don't respect us. They never will. Kim was quiet for a long moment. I'll speak with the president. Get some rest, Ambassador. Tomorrow might be a very different day. The connection ended. Choi sat in her small quarters and looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Home. A world that deserved better than this. Her communication device beeped. A message from Admiral Kim. Just 4 words. Execute Protocol Exodus confirmed. Choi smiled for the first time in months. Protocol Exodus was Earth's secret plan. For decades, human leaders had prepared for this day. The day when Earth would stop begging for respect and start demanding it. She opened her personal files and began sending coded messages to every human ship, station, and colony in council space. The messages looked like routine supply requests, but humans reading them would understand the real meaning. Come home. Now. On the other side of the galaxy, Commander Lee Dong-woo received his orders aboard the starship Indomitable. His crew of 3,000 humans had been protecting council trade routes for 5 years. Not anymore. Set course for Earth, he told his navigation officer. Maximum speed. Sir, what about our patrol schedule? The officer asked. The council can patrol their own space from now on, Lee said. We're going home. Dr. Park Sora was working in her laboratory on the planet Kepler Prime when her assistant brought her the message. She was studying alien plant diseases, trying to find cures that might save entire species. Her research had already saved millions of alien lives. Pack everything, she told her team. We're leaving. What about the cure for Vorthak crystal rot? Her assistant asked. We're so close to a breakthrough. Let them find their own cure, Sora said. I'm done saving people who think I'm less than them. All across the galaxy, humans began moving. They left their jobs, their research, their homes. Ships changed course toward Earth. Scientists destroyed their work rather than leave it for ungrateful aliens. Engineers took their designs with them. The Great Withdrawal had begun. The Council did not know it yet, but their galaxy was about to change forever. Humans had tried to fit in for 2 centuries. Now they would show what happened when Earth stopped playing by the Council's rules. Choi packed her belongings and prepared to leave Harmony Prime. Tomorrow, the Council would learn that humans were done being treated like children. Tomorrow, the real chaos would begin.